And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Prototopics Trees of Eternity, the post-show ending explained discussion. Everybody, let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if I'm coming in. I'm still away. We just had the Thanksgiving holiday here, 2022 Thanksgiving. So I'm still away from my HQ. So I'm streaming remotely. Let me know how I'm sounding, if you guys can hear me all right. Let me know where in the world you are watching this from. You know, good day, good morning, good evening. I know we got people all over the world that are Lawyers and Dragons Trees of Eternity fans. Love seeing you. Love hearing from you. Sounding great. Love to hear it. That's awesome. You can tell I'm still away from home. I'm over here in Ice Crown Citadel, as you could tell. It's a little dark, a little stormy, very cold here. Not a fan of the cold. Okay. I got these big earmuff headphones to keep my ears from getting frostbitten. But regardless, I hope you're all doing great. This is our first week. I can't really really internalize it myself, but I think for the rest of the team, this is the first week where they don't have a Saturday morning that they got to jump into something, right? Like it's they get to like just relax, and that's really good for them. Or I know Elite is on the other side of the world, so she could just hang out, not have to worry about jumping on stream today. Though I don't know, we might. I really don't know. We may or may not see some people. If they pop in here, I'll get them in on stream. But otherwise, we have a lot to do today. Okay. Today's stream is going to be more like a kind of like a class, more or less. And I want to make that as exciting as possible because I really want to take you all through the thought process of what it takes to do something like this. Because what we've just done and what you've all just watched is not exactly Dungeons and Dragons. And I want to make that clear. What we have just done with Lawyers and Dragons and with Trees of Eternity is it's not a conventional D&D experience. Okay. Most Dungeons and Dragons it's just most people use the books, or most people write simple little stories. Most people play for 8-hour sessions, right? So these are things that we didn't use, we didn't have. We had 2-hour increments on a schedule of about 15 weeks. So that means 15 episodes, right? And so we had to make sure that we're covering a lot of bases. We have to be telling a comprehensive story. All of the characters need to have time to speak. All of the characters need to have their own presence in this world, right? They all have to have a backstory. There all has to be something going on. We have to keep chat engaged. And you saw we were able to do a number of polls. I would have liked to have done more, but it really comes down to that meticulous planning. And believe me, when you see, and I don't have all of it today, but when you see what's in the works for campaign 2, you'll be very excited. I am very excited. I can't wait until I talk with the team again about what's going to happen next for the next campaign. There's going to be a lot more things added that we didn't have prior that we will have going into the next one. But you are here to talk about the ending explained for Trees of Eternity. So let's get into that and let's stop wasting time. Oh my gosh, where is it? This is it? Just one slide? And there's not even anything on the slide? What a shame. What a shame. Okay. Realistically, I'm going to be just drawing because I don't like PowerPoints and slides and stuff like that. I think that's boring, and I think you might find that boring too. Maybe not. However, what we're going to do is I'm going to open up like a little drawing tool here, and I'm just going to draw through explaining everything as we go through this. Okay. I'm going to explain it together, and then you guys can, basically review it and go through it as we progress. Real quick, good morning from Florida. I hope you and yours had a happy Thanksgiving. Looking forward to campaign 2. Thank you so much for that super chat. I had a great Thanksgiving. I'm not looking forward to my 8-hour commute. Well, probably 10 hours. I have a 10-hour commute tomorrow morning. I'll be jumping into that. But let's go. What is a plot? What is a plot? Plot is very important. A plot is something you see in a book. Any books that you read. Right? Whether it's Stephen King or Moby Dick, there's a plot attached to every single story ever. Every movie has a plot. Every video game has some kind of plot. It might get lost there, but it's very intentional that every story has to have an A to B progression. Okay. You start in one place, you have to go someplace else. And the entire story is the process of getting there. Okay. I'm going to get this tool activated. Browser tab. Okay. And now we should have we should have the little icon. There it is. Okay. So, as I was saying, we have point A. And by the way, I am horrible with the drawing mouse, so you guys are going to love this. We've got point A. You have to go to point B. And the story is getting there, right? And all these things happen. There might be a couple of hiccups that happen up here. You might have some great things that happen down here, but you might have some more hiccups here. And so that is the natural progression of a story. It's moving through the plot, getting to your destination. Okay? That's a normal plot. That's a normal plot. We don't actually need to know anything that happens before A when a normal story starts. When a normal movie starts, you don't need to know what happens before A. It just begins. We don't need to know. Let's say the character is 30 years old, right? Your protagonist in your movie is 30 years old. In a movie, you don't need to know every minute of every year for that character. They just begin existing right here at point A. Okay? This isn't a normal plot. But we're not dealing with a normal plot, are we? We're dealing with the Dungeons and Dragons plot. We're dealing with the Dungeons and Dragons plot. And so because of that, we have to consider what the backstory is of the characters that are coming into it. Real quick, I just want to take a look. I saw we got some super chats in. I don't want to miss them. Don't forget Hardy. He needs a moment to say hello. Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Trees of Eternity Ending Explained Extravaganza. Okay, I'm going to pop in here and there. I definitely pop in the end. But, you know, it's very exciting. I'm going to let David here continue to do his thing. I don't want to interrupt too much. But I do have to say, I have seen the little pieces of Hearties. The new, exciting, plushy Hearty that's going to be coming soon. I have seen it. I have held it. It is soft and fluffy, and you're going to love it. We're very excited. Thank you so much. Chris from the Ox. Oh, hey, you have super chats now. Love Lawyers and Dragons. Hardy is my favorite. Hardy is my favorite, too. We love Hardy. We love to see it. Thank you so much. This is great. Thank you so much for all the fun and learning. Yes, we love it. Love to be here and be able to bring this kind of opportunity to you, both in storytelling and in gaming and in there's so much stuff. I think that's why me and Rick get along so well, is because we both have the same fundamental beliefs on gaming and storytelling opens up joy for people and kind of also education in it too, and just creativity, and that is very, very exciting, and we love that stuff. So this is really I'm still just blown away that we get to do this, and I get to explain how to make a plot, right? And so for me, that's so much fun to do. But as I was just saying, we've got a plot, right? And now if you're watching any old movie, you can just go at A to B, no problem. That's what your movie is. Even look at any Marvel movie, right? They start, they have a progression, and then they end. And in some cases, like Werewolf by Night, right? I don't know if you've watched that. Personally, I haven't. You don't need to know everything else that's going on in the world. You could just jump in and watch it. But in D&D, you need to understand what the backstories are. You need to have some kind of comprehension on what the backstory is. And when I say you, I mean me. The dungeon master needs to know who his players are and who his players represent, right? If I didn't know that Gimlet is kind of a criminal character and a criminal archetype, the story would be different. If we didn't know that, nobody has family trauma, story would be different. So all of these things considered, if I didn't know that Lima has a history with her family, the story would be different again. So all of these minor details, which are maybe are minor to an outside person, can have to come together to make the whole story come together. Like the whole story has to come together, but these are four different people who have four different backstories. So the four different lives. Plus, then we have to talk about the world, right? So we have to consider the backstory of the characters. Then I have to put them on a path to tell a plot, to tell an overall story together. And then that has to lead someplace where we have a resolution at the end of it. Are you overwhelmed yet? Because you probably could be, and I would completely understand if you are. You know, there's a lot going on here, but what I think the easiest way to explain this is as empathy. Dungeons and Dragons, in and of itself, is an experiment in understanding and comprehending empathy. Is being able to get inside someone's head and understand how they think, understand how they feel, understand how their mind works. What are the things they want and what are they willing to do to get it? Right? And that's in anything. That's not just Dungeons and Dragons. That's any movie. Understanding, getting into somebody's head and understanding what it is that they want and what are they willing to do to get it. That's any story at all, any movie. And so what we have here with D&D is actually a dungeon master or a game master being able to play on those things, being able to play on what it is the character wants and play on what it is that the person wants, the player wants. And so it's very exciting to be able to do this. Now, this is the overall grand scheme of things, and I'm going to try and explain this. D&D is D&D therapy? No, D&D is not therapy. It's not therapy. It can be used in a therapeutic sense. I have seen it used. I have friends who are therapists that actually use Dungeons and Dragons with their they work with troubled kids. And so they're able to use this game to get these kids to open up and to better understand how it is that the actual kids are thinking, right? And to actually better help them and better help people through something like this. Should you go into I actually have another video on this on the channel, like should you treat Dungeons and Dragons like therapy? Absolutely not. Can it be used in a therapeutic safe space? Yes. And I don't and like a safe environment that is intended to be therapeutic, right? So it's completely different. Now, this is the baseline here. Baseline, all you need to know is things happened. That's why there's this dotted line here. There are things that happened in the past for each of our characters, but they all have to come together. Something has to happen here that sets them on a path to travel the world. Things have to happen. There's going to be ups and downs as we move along the plot week by week, and then we come to a proper conclusion at point B. Okay? That's what you need to know. That is what is a plot in Dungeons and Dragons. That is how it always is. That is how it's always going to be. Now, how do we start making this, right? All right, I'm going to see if I can go. Okay, so I'm going to have to just leave it like this. And I'll just write over this. I can't go like full screen. Fragments of the world. Coming into this, did I lead with making the characters? Did I lead with having the players make their characters? Not really. No, you have to have something of a foundation before you could start crafting compelling characters. You have to know a little bit about the world. Okay. So that's why it's called Fragments of the World, or in this case, I call it Fragments of the World. Now, typically, if you're just making a movie, you're writing a story, you do not have to follow this process. In fact, I don't recommend following this process. There's different ways to do it, but we're not really getting into that now. That's maybe another video. What's important here is that we understand the baseline of what the world looks like. Okay, so what does our world look like? Well, and I'll mark this in blue. There's a blue square. This blue square is our world. Cool. Easy to understand. It's the world that all of our players are from. Okay. Well, that's cool. And I'm going to take you through. Here's my thought process. Oh, that's cool. we've got our world, and it's Dungeons and Dragons. So that means there's magic. That means there's bad guys. That means there's dragons, magical creatures, all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Actually, I'm going to pause here real quick because I see questions are coming in. All right, I see questions. I'm gonna here. I'm gonna go widescreen so I could better explain this. So, if you have questions for me and I don't answer them just through, because I'm kind of on a roll. I want to get through all of this without breaking too much attention. If you have questions for me, guys, join the Discord where you can drop all of the questions to me directly in our Discord channel. I think it's come up here a few times. It'll definitely come up throughout the process of this stream. But if you have direct questions for me, I would love to answer them. I will answer all of your questions. I'm actually in the process of doing Q&A videos anyway. So please jump in the Discord, and there's a channel there where you can ask me questions directly. So check that out. I 100% recommend that. Back to this. Okay. So we've got a D&D world. We've got a lot happening in it. We've got magic. I've got dragons. I've got unlimited things. Okay. Well, that's kind of boring in one world. One world that also the players are supposed to know a lot about. The players are supposed to know all of these creatures and all of this magic and all of this, I'll just say, nonsense. And in a lot of ways, that's too overwhelming. It's too overwhelming because 3 of the 4 players are new. 3 of the 4 players have never done this before. They've never experienced D&D before. So how can I best introduce them to all this mystical, magical stuff? And it really came down to, well, how do I get all of that fun stuff, but also kind of bring them into it and bring all of you into it very slowly and have it kind of a progression? Make another world. Make a separate world where anything is possible. And I'll also back up a second and say that this is how I handle almost all of my campaigns, is that there is, and I'll just, just to really get this correct, there's always going to be the blue world and the green world. The real world, the normal real world, and then the magical world, where it's even more magic happening on the other side. And so this is where it is. There's these 2 planes of existence, more or less, that are existing in tandem together. That's what I wanted to start with. That's what we began with. 2 planes. Okay. That's easier to explain, right? So you got, hey, here's the world that you can craft your backstory in. You don't need to know anything else other than a map that I give you. And you could tell me anything. If you want to tell me that, you grew up in a pirate town and you and your brother were exposed to a very roguish piratey lifestyle, and that you have history with your mother, and there's all these different things happening for you, well, that can make sense in the blue world, which is your world. This is your world. Do whatever you want with it. Scrap it. Go wild. Have fun. It's entirely yours. It's entirely your world. And then we look over here, and eventually all roads will lead to the magic world, where we can start getting a little bit more detailed, where I could start getting more prophecy-like, where we can start introducing some crazy, fun, exciting, exotic things that wouldn't make sense. And it also allowed me to start the breadcrumb trail of introducing magical creatures that have all kinds of different motives. So it's an easy way to do this. And I just saw some super chats came in. Annabelle, thank you so much for that. $50 super chat. That means the world to us here. Thank you so much. Cynthia, for making our Saturday mornings more enjoyable. Thank you so much. That is really sweet, you guys. That is really awesome. Thank you. So we have our world. Fragments. That's it, right? Just that is, as I said a second ago, we needed a foundation. There's our foundation. Now, what do we do with that? What do we do with that? That's a lot. I gotta just take a step back here and say I kind of have to. If this is coming off and it's a little too intense, let me know in the comments because I'm trying to introduce this as simple as I can, as easy as possible. And I know to some people when I explain this, uh, their heads have kind of exploded, and I don't mean for that. I spent a lot of time on TikTok, and anytime I tried to explain this process, people were like, I can't handle it. And I understand there's a lot. Um, so I do appreciate that. Huge thank you so much, Bojan. Question: how am I supposed to gift memberships if you don't offer them? I actually just started the membership process. We're gonna have that up this week. So I literally just started setting up for YouTube memberships. So I appreciate that so much. And seriously, thank you so much for the super chat. That means the world to us. Thank you. Okay, doing great, doing great. Awesome, cool. Let's continue then. So we've got that. So what do we have now? We understand the foundations of a plot, and, and we understand the basis of the world. It's a simple world. Can't really get too far into everything yet, but we've got that. We've got our fragments. And then we go into backstories. Okay. Let's show this. Okay. So what do we do with the backstories? Well, we've got 4 characters. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 characters. Each of them has their own unique backstory. And I'm going to preface by saying we're not going to kind of reveal all of the backstories here for a couple of reasons. One, they're going to come up in the next campaign. That's absolutely going to happen. We're going to see more backstory drama unfold. We're going to see more I've said in previous videos and with the cast. We want to see the Fiegel clan, right? We want to see more of Ghostblade's backstory. So it would not be right for me to talk about it all now. I'm not going to reveal it now. That's up to them. That would be incorrect for me to do. But what I can say is that we've got backstory 1, we've got backstory 2, we've got backstory 3, we've got backstory 4. The separate colors is supposed to indicate that they come from 4 unique places. Okay? They come from 4 unique places. They've never met each other before. They've never interacted with each other before. Okay? Fine. So now we know a plot. We have to bring our characters together, put them on a journey, and then at the end of that journey, there has to be some kind of a resolution. Okay? Coming into this, we've got 4 unique backstories that have nothing to do with each other, but we know that they all have to, all roads, what is it? All roads lead to the ocean? Oh, no, that was the wrong thing. I'm going to erase that, come over here with my pen tool. All roads have to lead here. So I have to give a reason for them to all come together. And the reason for them to all come together was, or became very simple. They're all coming to see a show. They're all coming to see a show. They're all coming to see a magical event that happens every 100 years. And because it's 100 years, there's no real way for these characters to know what it is they're about to see. So they shouldn't know anything because nobody's 100 years old. Cool. Okay, so now I've created a circumstance where the players don't need to know everything yet. And they can experience how this all plays out naturally with all of you. Okay. So, and this all goes to, oh, I am horrible with the mouse drawing pen. This all goes to the tree. This all goes to the tree. All of their backstories have to converge and go in one direction towards the tree. See, this is all of this should be kind of coming together in a sense, because as I said before, we've got here, we had the progression backstory. We have to know what's going on here. We have to understand the backstory, then set them on the quest, then go to point B. Backstories, yeah. I mean, here's everything that we need to know. Moving everything along, moving everything forward. We know that Lima has a history with her family. Well, her history with her family has to lead to this tree. We know that nobody has a problem with his family as well, and that's why he's called Nobody, and like he's taken up that name and like kind of owns it after his trauma. We all, but he's got to go to the tree. We know that Gimlet wants to go to the tree. Why? Because, well, I'm sure Gimlet has a lot of reasons, but I will just generalize it by saying, well, he's got to go and try and get as much gold as he can. He's got to go to the tree. Ghostblade, what's Ghostblade doing? Well, it's still mysterious, but regardless, he's got to go there too. So we start off by putting all of our characters into a position where they literally have to come to the same place together at the same time. They don't need to know who each other is. They just have to be there. And that's something that's really exciting because you're actually forcing the players to start working together. You're forcing the players to interact with each other. I put them on a small cart in the first episode. The cart gets attacked. Now we get a couple of things happen. One, they get to interact with each other as their characters, as they're commuting in a very small space. Two, we get combat, and they start to see how each other is going to respond in combat. It's all a matter of growth over time and small exposures to the overall world to better immerse everybody and you as well. And this was intended to make it easy for you to come in. Because if I was to just drop us all in and say something along the lines of, hey, there's like prophecy here, prophecy there, you know it, they don't. Another like prophecy, go and get the sword of 1,000 truths, and also it was left behind by Craig the Courageous, and he left it in a rock, and little too much, little too much. Little too much prior knowledge that everyone would have to come into this knowing. So it was easy to just detract from that, make it as simple as possible. I also told the team to make simple backstories, and they did. And I would say, I think Lima's backstory is the one that was probably the most engaged, but I was great. I was very happy with it because she allowed for there to be a time jumps in there to really dive into it. So that was really great. Something else I'd like to just point out here is, while we're still on the topic of backstory, and I've said this previously, and I will continue saying because I think it's really important, is that you have 4 characters. We can't have 4 overlapping main stories. We can't have 4 overlapping main character stories because that would be too confusing. And that's not fair to everyone, to anyone really, because then we're going to have episodes in there where, nobody, for instance, nobody would be possibly dragged along to something that has nothing to do with him. Or maybe Ghostblade would be roped into something that has nothing to do with him, or really any of them. So the main thing was to, and I'll type this out, focus on 2. I have my cable here. Focus on 2. Set up for 2. I thought that it would be the most fair, and I think it would be the best way, was to focus on 2 main backstories, connect them, but set up properly for the next 2 backstories to come forward in the future where we can really dive into them. So the main 2 backstories here, clearly, if you're involved with the show and you watched it, you'll know that I very much focused heavily on Lima's backstory and Nobody's backstory, and to really iron those out, to show you a little bit about what's going on. We didn't even resolve everything, and that's okay because we didn't have to. We didn't have to resolve everything. We just had to start hinting at it. We had to start getting into it. We had to start explaining it, and that's okay because we're coming back for another campaign. We're coming back for season 2, more or less, right? So we didn't need to have everything answered, but for them and for you, now you've experienced what it's like asking questions in Dungeons and Dragons. You've experienced what it's like to be a part of these dramatic scenes, and in some cases, they're a little awkward. they're a little awkward. They have to be. Because you're acting. You're acting as a character. You're in character. For me, it's very it's very difficult for me to get into character sometimes, especially when I have to be like humdrum bad guys that are connected to their like backstories. And I'm sure you would have seen that. Because I don't want to do it wrong. And so for me, I'm always kind of paying attention to how I do those characters. But we're going to continue to expand on this. We're going to continue to grow this thing. And the goal is to satisfy all of the players' backstories, to satisfy you, the audience, and to satisfy the players in that their backstories have meant something to the overall game. Okay, so I've talked about this for a long time. I'm ready to jump into the next topic. Okay, so let's just recap for those of us that just joined. We have talked about what is a plot. We've talked about what is a plot in D&D, because while they are the same, kind of, we have to rely very heavily on a backstory in order to fulfill the overall plot, okay? Then we talked about the fragments of the world and that it was easier to establish two separate worlds instead of one main world in order to introduce both you, the audience, and our newfound players into the Dungeons & Dragons mayhem. It was easier this way. I thought it was more fun. Then we talked about the backstories and that the intention was to focus on two, set up for two more that we're going to really dive into. I mean, hypothetical. Let's think about it. Would you have wanted to have seen a heist in the first 3 episodes with Gimlet's family? I wouldn't. You know why I wouldn't? Because it wouldn't be as good as it's going to be at the top of campaign 2. Now that all of the players are professional D&D players, all of the players know how to ask questions, know how to get into character. And on top of that, you guys all know what it looks like now. You guys all understand what combat looks like. You all understand what these emotional moments look like. You know what the pickpocketing looks like. You know what the dagger passing looks like, and how you may have to roll for silly nothingness, right? And it could all just lead to a different story. So it was better to hold off on these more special moments for later on when everybody's more prepared. Now, where does that lead us? Completing the world. It leads us to completing the world and putting it together. So let's talk about this. And I just said what we've got, and I'll draw these out again. I'm going to put a box here. I'm going to go back. I'm going to open up a pen tool, and I'm just going to put 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here's our players. Cool. We've got our players. We know who our players are. Then I'm going to open this up again. I'm going to create another rectangle. I'm going to put it right here because this one's got to be a little bit bigger because there's more things going on here. And I'm going to mark this one over here. We've got 1, we've got 2, we've got 3, 4. Oh, wait a second. We've also got 5. Now, what the heck am I drawing here? We've got, oh, wrong button. There we go. Does it look better this way? All right, it looks better this way. Fine. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in our top box here. These are the characters. Maybe 1 is nobody, Lima, Ghostblade, Gimlet. 4 characters. Then under here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, well, what the heck is that? 1 is Rick. 2 is Alita. 3 is Rob. 4, Ian. 5 is you. 5 is you. Because you're a part of this world too. In multiple ways. In part 1, maybe it's because you're voting in the polls. Okay. Or maybe it's because you're on Twitter and you're engaging with us on Twitter, that you watch the show and it's important to you and you have ideas and this is how you view this world. This is how you view the characters. You know, maybe you're doing art on Midjourney, or maybe you're actually doing art yourself. You're still a part of this world more than you think. And what you think here will pull into the world itself. So we've got all of these people. This is actually 9 individuals. 9 individuals that are a part of this world. Nobody and Rick are 2 separate people that exist in the world of this Lawyers and Dragons game. And to think that they are the same is setting you up for failure. You got to remember that it's two separate people. Rick has to be engaged, Ian has to be engaged, and so does Gimlet and nobody. They have to feel like they're part of this. Okay? And so that all needs to go to eternity and the real world. Okay. Cool. So everything, we've had this progression. We've talked about all this. We've got our characters. We've got our two worlds. Now, what do we do with it? Well, I had this idea of these trees. Oh, looks like our thing ended. I got to reset the tools. I hope it comes back. Delete. Give me my tools back. That's what you get for using a free trial. Nope. Used it on the wrong one. Stand by, folks. I'm using Screencastify so I could do this. And I can't see it because my camera's blocking here. All right, let's try this again. Okay. I'm just going to mark this. Here's all of our characters. This is our 9 people that I just explained. Then over here, we've got eternity and we've got reality, the two separate worlds. Okay. Now I had the idea, as I was saying a second ago, I had the idea for what if we brought in these trees? Or what if there was something? How do I introduce eternity as a mystery for them to uncover? How do I create a second world as something to ask questions about, as something to point fingers to, as something to chase after a progression of? Well, it's at this point, actually, we're going to talk about villains as well, because what I wanted to do is introduce the players and you guys to asking Dungeons and Dragons questions. I had said to Rick many times, I think even on stream too, and I'll say it here as well, is, he said something along the lines of like, oh, I was looking to, I kept trying to ask questions to get people to answer specific things. And I think it had to do with the Black Knight. I was asking the questions, how do I ask the questions to get information out of the Black Knight? I was like, well, you weren't asking the right ones. And that was a very interesting point, is you have to ask the right questions. The world is alive. The world has motivations. And that's what we're going to talk about right here, right? So we have this two worlds. And as I said, I had this idea of how do we create a mystery? Okay, well, these worlds are connected, right? So let's just explain that. The worlds are connected by these bridges of sorts, roots, as I call them. There's roots connecting both of the worlds. Okay? It's coming in, then there's also going out. And these people don't know about it. What would happen if the people of reality did not know that eternity existed? Mostly because they're too early on in the process. They don't actually know that this is over here. They don't know what the trees do. They don't have a clue. They think that the magic of their world is these trees producing magic. Nay, nay. That's not what they did at all. That's not what they were going to do. The job of those trees is to be a bridge between the worlds, is to bring everything full circle, to connect the worlds. Okay, now we've got something interesting to work with. The world doesn't know what the worlds can do. The world doesn't know about eternity. And you've got these bridges. Well, what's coming in on the other side of the bridges? Oh, magical creatures? Bad? Are they bad? Gosh, that looks horrible, guys. I am sorry. I am horrible with this little pen tool. I need an actual like pen, like the drawing pad pens, but I'm a horrible artist. Are they bad? Coming in from eternity? Are the creatures coming over bad? Are they good? And that's even worse than my bad. Are they good? Could they be good? Do you actually know the answer yet? It's all respective of who's asking the question. Is a giant worm bad? Is the giant worm that Nate the Awesome slayed, was it bad? Maybe. Or maybe it was just a creature doing what it does. Is is it a lion in the jungle bad for, killing an antelope and eating an antelope? It's kind of just its natural thing to do. And so that was a way to start telling a more compelling story of asking these questions of like, hey, is it actually bad? Are things that are happening here, are they all bad? Some of them certainly are chaotic. Some of them certainly are bad, but look at the goblin guy. The guy, I say goblin guy, he's not actually goblin, he's a different creature altogether. He's a nilbog. He's called a nilbog, which is, for those of you who are fans of horrible movies, you'll know that nilbog is just goblin spelled backwards. I see that. I got you. I don't know, but the handwriting is bad. Yeah, thank you. You don't say. Here, fine. Now I'm self-conscious. I'm erasing the good, okay? And the bad. Fine. I see how it is, but these blocks look okay. Hurt my feelings, why don't you? The Borgos. Yes. Borgos, exactly the same. Are they bad or are they, are they good? Are they bad? What are they exactly? It's okay. Who knows? Is Hardy good or bad? Well, I know the answer to that, but he's pretty good. I'll just spoilers. Hardy's pretty good. And so that's the whole thing. That's the arc of the world. Now, I just said a second ago we need to talk about villains. And I'm going to mark them in purple here. What if? And that's something that comes up in D&D a lot. What if? What if this? What if that? What if there were magical trees that were not actually trees that produced magic? What if they were just gateways that were misunderstood? What if there were a group of crusaders who figured this out? What if not only did they figure it out, what if they've been impacted by eternity? What if they've been hurt by the things on the other side? What if any? Thank you. What if any there are crusaders who want to cut off the bridge here? What if they saw themselves as heroes? And now we're on the track of our villains, of some of our villains. Okay. So who were our villains? Well, we had the Black Knight. That's one. We had the bad guys that were wearing the black rogues that I called them right there. Stop, David. No. What if any? We had the Amica cream dealer over here. They're a bad guy, right? Just kidding. We didn't have that. Black Knight, rogues. Then we had a couple other things. What else did we have? Who else were the villains? Well, the Purple Worm. Foghorn Leghorn. He was a bad guy. We had, technically, the Dragonhawk could have been opposition. We had the Borgos. We had the Sea Monster. We had, I gotta go full screen. We had the Sea Monster. I mean, look at all these tallies, right? We had, what else did we have? We had, well, I'm going to put Nigel over here. We had the worm from the first, the bug thing from episode 2. And what do all these things kind of have in common? And I'll split them up because it's easier to understand, because we had villains on both sides. Quote unquote villains on both sides. They all are driven by different motivations, but they all have motivations and they all see themselves as the good guys. And this is something that I really internalize. And this is my favorite part of storytelling, is that all of the villains that you come across, all of the baddies, I'm going to go full screen for this so that it really drives it home. All of the bad guys you see in any film, movie, book, video game, they're just the heroes of their own story. So Rhine, the Black Knight, sees himself as a hero. The rogues wearing black are trying to vindicate or get revenge or avenge a wrong that has been done to them. Nigel just doesn't like Gimlet. And the creatures from the other side, well, what are they doing? Maybe protecting eternity? Maybe trying to make sure nothing happens? Maybe they're being dropped in unintentionally. They don't know that they're being sent over by something. I mean, I'll even write on here, what did the dragon do? Oh, that's a block. I didn't mean to put the block. What did, in the last episode, what did the dragon do actually? His job? Didn't actually do anything wrong. It's something to think about. And that's what I want everybody to get in the habit of doing, is asking all of these questions. Is, what does that person want? As I said at the beginning of this stream, what do characters want, and what are they willing to do to get the things they want? Everybody wants something, but what are they willing to do to get it? And are they willing to go that extra distance, go that extra mile to get what they desire? And this is any good movie, any movie at all, is people want something. They want something. So the villains, and okay, so we know that these villains all want something. However, there's a couple things that happen here. I'm going to clear this for a second. I'm going to draw a block, and I'm going to take you through this. Okay, here's block 1. This is nobody. I'm just going to put no, because obviously y'all are going to make fun of my my penmanship with the drawing tool. So I'm just going to say no. This is nobody. We understand nobody. We've seen him. We know how he talks. We know how he thinks. We know what he wants. Or do we? We don't exactly know everything that he wants. We just know how he is. We know he wants friends. We know that here he has a backstory. I'm going to try and write backstory. Oh, that's just going to look horrible. Yikes. I wonder if I put I don't want to bore everybody with me like fiddling with this thing. Backstory. That's better. Okay. We know he has a backstory. And we know that backstory contributes to making nobody the nobody we see today. And that aside from that, nobody also has characters from that backstory. I don't know if there's actually this many. Maybe there is. It doesn't matter. The point still stands, is that all of these people here only exist because of nobody's backstory. They wouldn't exist without it. They would not exist without nobody's backstory. So maybe this is Ryan, and maybe this is Brother 2, or Orphan 3, 4, 5. This is another orphan. Okay. And all of these people, I didn't come up with everything. I didn't know what they were doing. I didn't know that they were real until Rick and I had a conversation. Oh my gosh. Y'all are ridiculous. David is channeling Hardy's writing again. Wow. Very, very nice. Very nice. That is very funny. That is very funny. I like that. That's a good joke. Actually, I can show you later. We know what Hardy's handwriting looks like, by the way. We know what Hardy's handwriting looks like. We might be able to show you later, depending on how we do today. I'd like to show you. Yeah. See, I have a little letter from Hardy himself that is going to be going out to you guys very soon. So, hey, we'll talk about that later. That's fun. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, I feel you. Drawing with a mouse is terribly difficult. Yep. That's how I feel right now. Is that a threat? No, it's not a threat. You're going to see Hardy's handwriting anyway. We're getting ready to launch this Hardy plush. It's clearly related to that. it's only a matter of time before you guys got to see all the pictures anyway. But I might, and I might get yelled at for this by uh, the other half of Prototopics for revealing it on stream. But I might just do it anyway. Just don't tell on me. Don't tell on me, chat. Okay, completing the world. Nobody's backstory. He's got characters in it. Fine, we got that. We understand that, right? We also understand, like I just said, that these 4 people don't exist without nobody telling me that they exist. Well, then something has to happen. We're going to cross this off. So this is the backstory part of the world. And then this is the story. Okay. So we have to cross over from their backstory into the story. And we have to bring somebody over, right? So I decided, well, we're going to bring Ryan over. We're going to bring over who would become the Black Knight. But I don't have to explain to you everything about what happened to Ryan in between this and this. You don't need to know that. That's not important. Not even Rick knows what this. Oh, let me do it with another color. Not even Rick and nobody know what happens between the last time they saw Ryan and when they saw him again burning down the eternity tree. That's not up for you to know. That's up for you to experience. That's something for you to see play out. And that is super exciting because anything can happen here. Anything can happen here that can lead to Ryan taking up a sword and attacking the eternity tree. Okay? These are things we have to keep in mind. Every single character, going widescreen for this, every single character that our party interacts with, whether created by me or created elsewhere, every one of them serves to do only one thing: impact the players and continue their plot. They have motivations. They have desires. They have wants. What are they willing to do to get what they want? These abstract characters that we just met. What are they willing to do? Ryan was willing to burn down the eternity tree, go to war with the world in order to serve his cause, to be a crusader against this other world that he learned about. Right? Oh, actually, guys, if there are super chats come in, I see Thick Pastel is here. Pastel, my friend, thank you for being here. If I miss super chats, can you just let me know? I do see the messages pop up. Thank you so much. Thank you, David, for being the architect of our Saturday morning cartoons for grown-ups. Keep us righteously entertained over so many weeks. Unicorn, Star, and Cat, thank you so much. That's Sarah. Thank you for that. So, all of our characters only there to keep the main plot going. They're only there to help the characters, the players, tell their story. Does all of this make sense? Does any of this make sense? Because as I said, this is like super overwhelming stuff. Like, seriously. And I get that. And this is not going to be the only time I talk about this. I'm going to be talking about this stuff in more videos coming up. I'm going to be doing breakdowns of this. And I really think that it's good for more people to know this kind of stuff, because you might sit the next time you go to the movies, the next time you're watching a TV show, the next time you get to, you're reading your favorite book, you're going to start looking for these things. What are people's motivations? Everyone you know in real life now, everyone you know wants something. Everyone you know is doing something, is interested in pursuing something, is working for something. Everyone you know has their own goals, right? Okay, what are they willing to do to get them? Sometimes it's just brushing your teeth so that your teeth don't rot out. That's something you want and something you're willing to do to get what you want. It doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, I'm burning down, I'm going to war with the world. It doesn't have to be that intense. Of course, here in our fantasy setting, it can be that intense. But we talk about something that's just as simple as I want to get to work on time. Well, what am I willing to do to get to work on time? Well, there's traffic lately because more people are moving in to my neighborhood. So there's more people moving in. So that means I have to leave earlier to beat the traffic rush. See how that works? It's simple. It could be simple. It's just watching as people move through life, pursuing the things that they want to do. So keep those things in mind. I saw a super chat came in here. Let's not miss it. Bit late. Can you give Hardy a horn so he can be a meownicorn? Oh my gosh. If Hardy was actually had unicorn horn, I'm afraid he would get it stuck in everything because he has very bad depth perception. So he would probably accidentally be walking into things and impaling them. So we might want to watch out for that. But I do think it would be pretty funny if there was like, you know, we release different Hardies and we release different versions of Hardy. And like, perhaps there's like unicorn hat we could put on Hardy's head. That would be really funny. I love Hardy. I just like going off course here for a second. I gotta say, I'm so amazed that you guys all got attached to Hardy the cat. I've been doing this cat for several years now. It popped up randomly in a game that I was running with a bunch of really good friends, and it was just really the character was born there, and it's really funny that I can continue doing it, and more people really seem to like that. And I'm really happy about that. So I have to say thank you for that. That's really great. But let's get back to this because it's already been an hour and I am just like just dropping info. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take you through now because as I promised, I wanted to walk through every episode and just explain where we were coming from. Like, where's the story coming from? And really kind of where it's going. So let's just recap for everybody that just joined. We have talked about what is a plot. We have talked about what is a plot in D&D and like the subtle differences. Fragments of the world. We've talked about how I established the baseline of this world and then pass that over to the players to make their backstories. And we decided that for campaign 1, we were going to focus on 2 backstories, but set up for 2 more moving into the future. We've talked about completing the world. We've talked about how all of the villains only exist to serve the overall story, that the villains without our lead characters would not be there. We've talked about how all of you are part of this world. We've talked about how the players are not just their characters that they created, they're also still themselves. And they themselves have to enjoy what they're experiencing too. And then we've talked about now, here we are transitioning into going through the 13 episodes that you guys saw for the Trees of Eternity campaign. And I know that there's been a lot that's happened here. There's been a lot that's gone on. And truly, I'm sure that if I did single video breakdowns on explaining a plot, it would sound a little bit better. And we will be doing all of that. And I really have wanted to do long form videos like that, getting into those details. And we will do that because I want you to be able to take home that this isn't just, I see you guys referencing it to Saturday morning cartoons, and I love that idea. But I also love the idea of you guys taking what you learn from our Dungeons and Dragons nonsense and applying it to all the stories that you see moving forward. Yeah, maybe you're not going to see a tiefling that wants to be friends with everybody, but you might see family dramas play out. You might be able to watch your movies moving forward and ask, oh, hey, the bad guy wants something. What is it that they want? And understand motivations. What we're teaching here is, and as I've said, Dungeons and Dragons is an empathy generator. It's a creativity generator, and it's an empathy generator. If you use this tool, it's a tool because it can be used as a tool. Sure, you're rolling dice and you're saying silly things and you're playing with goblins and dragons and it's just nonsense, but It's a game, but it's not just a game. It's an opportunity for you to understand how other people think and feel. And that is always, always exciting and fun to do. So that's really great. Let's get into these. Let's get into the trees now, the trees ceremony, and start explaining these episodes. But right before that, Sue Herman, thank you for all the fun in the first campaign. Thank you, Sue. Thank you all for being a part of this first campaign. Thank you. That's really nice. Victoria, we need Hardy merchandise. Cat accessories also. Oh, that's a really great idea. Oh, that's a really great idea. Stand by. Okay. I'm going to have to write that down. Cat accessories too. You got it. We're going to work on it. Might not, don't count on it for phase 1 because we've really broken this down into phases, but like, yeah, it's going to we're we're going to do that. We the way that we structure our stuff is we have a phase 1 of everything, like we're really trying to rush to get out so that you can have it by Christmas and by the holiday season this year. And then on the other side, it's like, well, what do we do next after that? And believe me, we've got a lot of cool stuff on the way. So that's a lot of fun. We have not really stopped here over at Prototopics. Between myself and the cast members that you see on streams and videos and the people that work behind the scenes that make all this happen, we're literally so happy about like how everything is working. We're working diligently to get you all the cool and unique stuff that you could possibly want. So I love that. That's a great idea. We need a Hardy market cart, plushies, and accessories. Okay. I'm going to come back to this towards the end when we talk about the Hardy plush that we're working on. We're going to talk about that because, like as I just said, it's going to be in phases, but it's coming. I promise you, it's coming. We're working as fast as we can to get everything, so it'll be here. It'll be here soon. But let's continue this before I really go on a tangent. Okay, the episodes. Let's break them down. 13 episodes. We've just had a ton of stuff. We've just had a ton of info and education and lore dumping and dropping and all this. And if you're not too exhausted yet, I'd like to take you through the entire walkthrough of the 13 episodes. So we hadn't originally come in for this, and Rick and I and the team had talked about it, and we decided, well, we were going to do something like 15-ish episodes. Okay, great. Well, one of those weeks we didn't stream. I think we had 1 week off. We did one of those 15. We did the talk show. We did the Talking Dragons episode, which was really fun. We got to hang out with all of you guys. That was really great. And then another one of those, I couldn't be there because I had to work at a Comic-Con. And so that was when Ian played and we had Natalie as a guest, and it was really, really great. Awesome. So we got 13 episodes from campaign 1. Did we answer all of your questions in this campaign 1? No, absolutely not. Because we realized early on that we all loved doing this and we're going to continue doing it. So why should we rush? Why should we rush through everything and like have a rushed finale, like a Disney Plus show? We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna rush through the ending. We're gonna let everything play out naturally. And it came to a point towards episode 11 here where I just said to Rick, like, hey man, campaign is yours now. You guys all go wild and do whatever you want. And whatever happens is going to happen. I know what the characters want. I know what their motivations are. You guys go wild. It's still D&D. I still want you. It's still your world. I want you guys to go and flex on the world and see what happens. And so that's how we got these last 2 episodes. And I'll explain what I had intended for the finale to be. Real quick. We need Hardy in a unicorn onesie. Oh my gosh. That would be adorable. It's going to be a little challenging to get that, but I would never rule anything out. I think we're still so early on in the process. It was important to us to get a first edition version of Hardy the Cat out there for you. And so we're doing that now. We're doing that now as the first edition, and everything else is going to be future renditions of the character. I mean, Hardy needs his own marketing. Oh my gosh, yes, a marketing with the cat. That would be awesome. Maybe we'll call the store something in relation to Hardy. That would be really cool. That would be awesome. Episode 1. And I'd really like to preface this. Let's back up some more. When we came into this, Rick and I had talked about it, and we decided, hey, we want to bring on guests. We want to have guests on for this show. We want to, because it's Lawyers and Dragons. Well, there's a bunch of lawyers who would be really great to be on this, and it would really diversify the cast as far as like diversifying who you're seeing and diversifying the storylines and just bringing an extra level of excitement. And I'll back up a second here because realistically, I'm a business person. I work in marketing professionally. Statistically speaking, and this has nothing to do with you guys directly. Statistically speaking, as I've been a part of these streams before, and as I've been a part of Dungeons and Dragons shows, D&D content, it's at this point here that there is a drop off of people. It is at episodes 4 and 5 is where people start to lose interest. So we had to do something that kept our show exciting. And that is where I said, we're going to bring guests in to make sure that it's never boring. I never wanted you guys to be bored. And thankfully, I think we can all agree, we weren't. We're all still hanging out here now. But to give you behind the scenes look of, I wanted everything to be as exciting as possible all the time, always. Right? So I said, and Rick and I talked about this in great detail. I got to reset my tool here. Browser tool. Okay. Is that we need guests, and you guys loved seeing the guests. It was something awesome. It was so exciting to be able to bring in, let's just back up and say, to bring in the initial cast members, and then by the end, now they're teaching other people how to play. And that's just, I mean, you think about that in the grand scheme of things, a lot of you guys, I'm pretty sure, can also do the same thing. That I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys can probably explain simple D&D stuff to me. And that's so outrageously cool, right here we got a super chat. I got in at episode 8, went back and binged it all. Love it, lived it, can't wait for more. Thanks for this breakdown, and thanks for all you do. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. This is very, very kind of you. I'm so glad that we're able to bring something exciting like this for all of you, and make sure it's fun and exciting and silly and wacky, and you just, it's a good, I would like to say it's a stress relief kind of thing that you could just put this on. And now there's 13 episodes in this story, so you've got 13 episodes worth of content to get through, and it's really, see. But as I was saying, we have, right, the first 4 episodes, we knew we had to make these really compelling. We had to educate everybody. We had to make it as exciting as possible. We had to have combat. We had to have guests. We had to have guests who can come in and bring another level of immersion to this world so that it feels alive. Okay. So we decided, and I talked about this earlier, was we'll bring in Uncivil Law for episode 3. Bring him in early on. Let's bring in Kurt early on. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Kurt. I love everything Kurt does. I got to back up and say, I'm a huge fan of everyone we've had on. And I'm hoping that next season I get to have Natalie on with us, because I would love to play a game with Natalie too. Because just like you guys, I'm a super fan for all of them too. So I watch all of their streams and all their content just like you guys do. So this, for me, I'm like one of you in this situation of I'm getting to hang out with all of the people that we watch. So that is insanely fun. So episode 3, we bring in Kurt. And then, and this is something that we talked about very early on, is that Rick says, well, why don't we ask Emily D. Baker to come in? And I said, absolutely. Back up. Hold on. Big idea. What if? Because this is the whole thing. What if any, right? All storytelling is what if? What if she came in for the courtroom scene? What if we did a courtroom scene? What if she was part of the defense team? What if the bad guy was the prosecution? And then that would give an opportunity for all of you to come in, be on trial, goof off, Emily D. Baker shows up as the hero, the defense attorney hero, and then we end in the last like 40-ish minutes with a fun combat encounter where you fight the goblin that was in a few episodes earlier. This should not have worked, my friends. This should not have worked. There were so many moving details. The fact that we had to set up for this progression and it all roads here led to objection hearsay, and it worked, and it was fun, and nothing wrong happened. I've said previously, the worst part of that episode was me, because I was not educated enough in legal terminology to go toe to toe to make it engaging. I was the weak link in that stream. Do you know how amazing that is? As someone like myself who's been doing this for several years now, trying to create these magical moments. Mind blown. Mind blown. I'm still geeking out about it. So happy about that. And it worked. But again, let's talk about the actual progression here. We understood that the first 4 episodes had to lead to this big moment. We wanted all roads to go to this big courtroom scene to put all of the guys in court. Okay. So we knew that all of this had to lead to getting them arrested. So regardless of what the plot here is, we have to satisfy 2 things with the first 4 episodes. We have to satisfy the backstories. Remember? Because I just explained this. I just explained the backstory. So everything has to go to the backstories. Everything has to go to the objection hearsay episode. But then also, it's got to go all the way through this and come to the finale. That's a lot of that's a lot of baggage. That's a lot of baggage. But somehow we pulled it off. And I'm so excited about that. And it worked. Guys, it worked. It shouldn't have worked, but it did. And so episode 1 was just to introduce the characters. Introduce who they are, get through a little bit of combat. I got a ding dong. Guys, give me 1 second. I just got that. I got to go check the door real quick. Guys, I just got to say, I don't want to sign up for political stuff 3 days after Thanksgiving. Okay. Also, I don't really live here anymore. So it was fun to tell the guy to go away. Anyway, I'm back. Let's get back into this. Just ran across the house, ran back here. We're back. Thank you. It's like when the doorbell rings, we got to make sure everything is cool, right? All right. So, Trees of Eternity. The job was to introduce the characters, introduce everything. Yes, Brains for President 2024. Oh my gosh, that's what I should have said. Oh, that would be a cool sticker. Brains for President 2024. That's really good because if it's brains for president, it could be anybody. It's like it could you could say that for any political affiliation. You could just be like, yeah, well, it's I just want brains to be the president, please. It could be anybody, but please have brains. You know, brains for president 2024. Love it. Yes, you know what? This is why you need a video doorbell. I have one at my place, but I'm not home. I'm still at Ice Crown Citadel, and when the Lich King knocks, you got to answer, otherwise, tears your soul out kind of thing. Not a lot of fun. Not a good experience. Okay. Back to this stuff. Trees of Eternity 1, introduce the characters, introduce the combat. Okay? Introduce the world a little bit. And introduce the initial plot. And the initial plot here was that there's these magical trees that bring the magic into our world. And everybody gathers every 100 years to make wishes on these trees. Well, that sounds like a really good introduction. That sounds like a really fun, easy way to bring our players together to meet each other for the first time. Start this game. Start the plot. It works. And then at the very end of the episode, the tree burns down. So something, and I will definitely talk about this in the future, is that as we progress through storytelling, early on, there has to be a precipitating event. There has to be a precipitating event that causes the plot to kick off. Okay. I've heard, if you guys are familiar with David Mamet, who wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, the "Coffee is for Closers" speech. If you guys know, that guy. He's a playwright, a screenplay writer, really great teacher when it comes to this stuff. He made a point of saying, all of you are familiar with the story of Moses, the burning bush, right? And he made a point that I really thought was interesting, that the actual call to action, the actual story doesn't fully begin until the burning bush happens, until Moses speaks with the burning bush. That is the precipitating event that sends him on the adventure. That's when the whole story actually kicks off, is that moment. I mean, then you get the entire Exodus, right? So and that's regardless if you're religious or not, it doesn't matter. It's still one of the best stories of all time. Is a lot of the books of the Bible are still some of the best stories of all time. Whether you believe them or not is irrelevant. It's still amazing concepts and stories. So yeah, it's at that moment, boom, the burning bush says, go out and do the thing. He says, I don't want to do the thing. He still has to go out and do the thing because he's been commanded to go do it. That's precipitating event. Story begins. For us, let's back it up, because for us, the precipitating event is the tree burning. It's the tree burning. That's when things begin. That's when things kick off. And that's very important, because then immediately we move into episode 2, The Falling Skies, where, just to further point out, this ball of fire falls out of the sky, hits this tree, starts burning it down. And the entire episode is, oh, wait a second. Oh, what's that? What's happening the whole episode? Magical creatures are appearing out of nowhere around the tree that is on fire. Oh man, almost like trying to protect the tree, but not exactly given any guidance because they're all just little monstrosities. Interesting, isn't it? And I know that for all of you guys at home and for everybody playing the game, it was confusing. You're looking around, it's like, what is all this? The tree is on fire. I'm still uncomfortable with the world. I don't fully know what I'm supposed to be doing, how to even play this silly game. And now these magical creatures are just showing up here. What the heck is going on? What the heck is going on? Well, they're not from here. Those creatures were never going to be from here. Those creatures were from eternity. And clearly, eternity itself, or some magical entity, does not want those trees to get destroyed. So it was dropping in what I would classify as defense to try and stop them from being destroyed. And so if you didn't already put the pieces together of what all of those magical monstrous creatures were, that's what they were. They were a deterrent to try and stop the Crusaders from destroying the trees. the Dragonhawk showing up, the giant worm showing up, the bug creature that was giving Lima a hard time, the Nilbog that that gave Rob a hard time. They're all deterrents, trying to protect the trees. And so this is our first introduction to them in episode 2, where we finally see all of the villains on the same screen together. And villains is subjective. Villains is subjective. Real quick, Secret McSquirrel. I've mentioned the brains for Prez idea to Mrs. Hogue. David has made it clear the brain stuff belongs there. Yeah, so guys, something I just want to point out here is everything that we do on Prototopics store is all the stuff that like we're creating here. I think we're good, but I want brains to be over there, right? So everything brains, that's always going to be on the Hogue Law store. You're going to see a bunch of other stuff over there, I'm sure, as well. So there's going to be basically 2 separate stores. Brains will always be Brains' home is going to be on the Hogue Law store. You're always going to find that stuff there. And I am going to reach out to them after the holiday weekend's over and see about getting that Brains for President sticker done. I think that they would love that idea. Let's make it happen. I think that would be a lot of fun. Let's see about that. But you'll always find that, just to be clear, brains will always be home there. So thank you, Secret McSquirrel, for pointing that out. You're absolutely on point. Thank you for jumping on that for me. And back to this lecture of sorts. Okay. So, all right. Episode 1, introduce the characters. Episode 2, introduce the villains. And that's what I wanted to do. Introduce the good guys. Introduce the antagonists. Episode 3, introduce the Blackleaf. Introduce the Blackleaf. Kurt Uncivil Law came in playing Blackleaf, the Dragonborn, and I must say we talked very briefly, but what I truly loved about this cast, about all of our guest players, about all of our players, is I didn't actually have to give them that much for them to not only get into it, but get into character and make it fun and make it exciting and play on each other and not have main character syndrome and not try to take over the game. And Kurt diverting the attention of the angry mob so that the players could get away was like a gift, like Christmas came early, because it gave me the chance to introduce the goblin villain, Foghorn Leghorn. I'll just call him that, even though that's not his actual name. It gave me the chance to introduce him without y'all seeing him just show up in episode 4. And that was so much fun to be able to do. And Kurt also helped us push the plot along, because then he disappeared. He had the, Blackleaf had the mark on his hand, and poof, disappeared. And I'd like to also point out, and I've said this in previous videos, I've said this in previous streams, that the entire reason that I created this whole like black leaf tattoo or the green leaf tattoo on their palms, it's a plot device that helps the game keep going. Excuse me, in the event that somebody can't play. So early on in our discussions, we all agreed that, hey, we're all, they're lawyers. Life happens. They might disappear. They might get called into something. But we got to keep the show going. We don't want to lose game time. We don't want to lose the show. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to create a reason for them to disappear. And they get called back to eternity. That's what's happening there. Not back to. They get teleported to eternity. And I think we're going to explore that a little bit further next season, really identify and explain that better. But that's what you should know, is that was only there to prove that the team could be teleported at any time by anything for any reason. And the reason mostly being that they can't make it because of work or illness or whatnot. So that's a lot of fun. And Kurt helped bridge that gap. And that all continues. To objection hearsay. Where, and I've talked about this probably enough already, but if you're like me and you guys watch the Johnny Depp trial, the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, Then, you watched all of these people, all these amazing YouTubers, streamers talk about being in a courtroom. They talked about it for weeks on end. We watched all of their streams together. I was with you watching all of them. And so I thought, well, how amazing would it be to put them in a courtroom and actually let them be like on trial? What would they do if they're on trial in this mystical, magical world? And then that's what this was. It was both serving the story, but it was also serving the audience, serving myself for actually being able to play lawyer with the real lawyers, the real elite lawyers. And it worked. And it was a lot of fun. And it also helped express some of the opinions of a couple of other characters. It got us to be able to let them have fun, play out different things. We got to see the entire name of Gimlet Otterfeagle. We got his entire name, which to date I still don't have memorized, and I probably should. Oh no, see, I don't even remember what he sounds like. Please do drunk judge, David. Oh man. I will he'll definitely be back, but like I gotta say, I don't even remember what he sounds like. I have to go back and watch the Sometimes I come up with voices that I don't remember where they come from or what they were in reference to. Oh boy, did you get to see the energy of Trial Life? Yeah, I did, and Emily walloped me, and it was a fantastic. And I told her to do that. I told them all ahead of time. I said, "Hey, when the moments come up for you to like go for like kick my butt, like go for it. That's the point." How much do you think Rob wants to throw crayons in the real courtroom? I think we should ask him. I think if you're, I think we should go. We should all go and ask him if he throws. Do you throw crayons in the courtroom? I think that would be a lot of fun. So we did this, and so I'd like to classify that this right here is more or less Act 1 of our story. Episodes 1 through 4 is Act 1, and that is specifically why the path ahead is where things begin to change. The path ahead is where I realized, okay, well, we're 4 episodes in. The players don't know what's going on. The chat doesn't know what's going on. You, the audience, don't know what's going on. So I need to create a circumstance where I can info dump a little bit, where I can explain what's going on in as much detail as the world actually knows, which is very little. The people of reality don't actually know about these trees. They don't actually know what the heck is going on. And so having this legendary wizard being able to say to Gimlet and the team, like, hey, you need to go and stop these trees from burning down. We'll lose all of our magic. And getting that wrong is really interesting. And that's something I had hoped would raise a couple of eyebrows, like, oh, wait a second. He said that this is where the magic comes from. Clearly, he don't know everything. Can we take his word as fact moving forward? Can we take anybody's word here as fact when no one here in our world knew, except for a small few crusaders, no one here knew that there's a whole nother world out there that we don't have connection to. So, yes. And of course, Wizard School brought us so much glitterness. It did. We love the glitterness. And that's where we got it. And then let's continue from there. So that's the path ahead. Path ahead. Boom. That's our episode. Info dumping, sending things along, keep the game moving. Here's what the story is. So more or less, this episode really sets us on trajectory for these. Because now you know, hey guys, the plot here, don't let the trees get burnt down. Don't let the trees get burnt down. You got to go and save them. You got to go stop them. Go save those trees. But I think if we were to just keep doing boring lore dumping, it would be boring and you wouldn't want to watch it. You wouldn't want to watch it because it would be too much. So, as I said, this is Act 1. And then what we have is Act 2. And that starts here and continues all the way to here. Oof, that looks bad. I got to erase that because I really wanted this to look cool. Let's try this again. 2. Nice. That's a little bit better. This is part Act 2. So, and any story is going to have an Act 1, 2, and 3. And if it's in a different order than Act 1, 2, and 3, well, you're watching a French movie and it's not good. And that could only mean that over here, we've got Act 3. It's always got to be 1, 2, and 3. That's the natural progression of a story. That's the natural progression that Aristotle says that it needs to go in. And I'm not going to argue with Aristotle. One, because his teachings have been kind of fact in storytelling for eternity. And he's also dead, so I can't argue with him even if I'd like to. So that's fun. Path ahead, set us up, get to work. Go do the thing. Go do the thing, please. Go protect the trees. Even though you're being gently misled for the wrong reasons. But it's not malicious. Also, mind you that. The dude wants to save the trees. He doesn't know that, what's happening. He doesn't know that there's magical creatures coming and trying to protect those trees already. So all he thinks is he's trying to save magic. Good reason, good motivation, not exactly malicious, not bad. And I realized, as I was just saying, that I kind of thought that by the end of episode 5, hey, we just had a lot happen in these last 5 episodes. It's really intense. There's a lot going on. We need a break. We also need something that can let Alita have fun, because I feel like all along here, you've had a lot of fun for Gimlet. You've had, he got to have fun here. You had Nightwind showed up here, so that's a lot of fun for Rob. All throughout this, nobody is kind of a main character, especially here when we find out that he's related here. So nobody's got a lot going on. But I realized by episode 6, Alita needs to take the limelight. She's got to get something. And then introduced Hardy the cat. So Hardy shows up in episode 6 with the intention of, I had really thought that, Alita loves fuzzy animals and cats and dogs and cute animals. And I thought, well, I'm going to introduce Hardy the cat into this canon, into this game, and really give everybody the chance to see the cat, to see Hardy and have fun. And I had really thought that Alita, and she did at first, and I thought that, and you all saw it in real time, like, oh yeah, you look over, there's a cute little black cat, and everybody saw how she, kind of got all lit up and excited, and I thought that was fantastic, because that was the point. That's what I was trying to do, and I think we did that, and that was really cool. So this is where Hardy comes in, and Hardy serves a couple of purposes. One, Hardy is there to keep the players moving in the right direction, like a backseat driver. Though he's never going to say the things, like he's never going to say, go there. He's not going to say, do this. Why? Because I said so. Like, that's not going to happen. Instead, he's going to ask the questions that cause the players to ask different questions. That's what he's going to be. He's also going to be comic relief and joke and make fun of nobody when nobody gets a little too much on a high horse. And I thought that was pretty good to have that happen. I thought that worked. And so that's where Hardy shows up. And then, of course, that leads us to the next episode, where we had the awesome Nate the Awesome shows up for episode 7, because I thought, and we all thought, hey, it's time to bring in another guest. Let's keep this exciting, folks. What did I say before? I said before that by episode 4, statistically, by your 4th episode in a Dungeons and Dragons show, you start to lose a lot of attention. You start to lose a lot of viewers, mostly because maybe it's not as exciting, or maybe it's a little bit boring, or whatever the case may be. But I figured, well, we need to make sure we keep bringing guests in. We keep shaking up the terrain. And so episode 7 really sticks out to me, because it's the first time that they truly got to see one of the Eternity monsters in play and still not know what was going on with it. Like, clearly, Hardy would say, like, oh, yeah, here's the worm. It's heading in that direction towards the tree. It's going towards the tree. What is it doing at the tree? It just popped in through green, the same green that the other monster showed up in. It's going after the tree. The players were just told to protect the tree, so I can understand why there would be a confusion on to, what is it actually doing at the tree? Is it going to protect it? Is it going to destroy it? Is it going to eat it? Lord knows what it's going to do. And so having that environment of asking questions is exactly what we wanted, and that's exactly what we got. So Nate the Awesome was a great guest, coming in, starting a little bit of drama, being a part of drama he had no idea he was walking into. And Nate is a very great sport. I think he'll always be Nate the Awesome in my book. Dude is awesome. Really loved working with him. And that takes us to the next episode, which is Colors of the Sunset. And at this episode, we get the dagger. Okay, cool. Big screen. Cool. Got the dagger, right? Still got a lot of questions about the dagger, right? Still got a lot of questions about what does it do? Where did it come from? Why does Rob have it? And I had always said that I really wanted, well, not always said publicly, but I always said, like, even to Rick, like when that stream had ended, I had said something along the lines of, like, I'm so glad you got Rob the dagger, because I always wanted him to get it, and it just naturally happened. No, I can't tell you the secrets of the dagger, because what did I say before? Well, I already talked about this. We had to focus on two. We had to focus. Go big screen. We had to focus on 2 backstories for this, but I had to set up for 2 more. So clearly, my pen tool reset again. Screenify this, like, I don't know how much time it gives us, but it's like probably not enough. So we had to set up for 2. And I hope you guys kind of caught on that Rob's dagger, Ghostblade's dagger, is entirely a setup for the next campaign, and probably onwards from there as well. It's supposed to be a kind of what I would call a story breadcrumb, that I give you just enough about it in the first campaign to make you ask more questions about it in the second. You were never ever going to get all of the answers, because it's impossible for you to get all the answers for that today or then. You will get more answers moving forward. That's the whole point. The dagger was supposed to set up for campaign 2, and that is exactly what it did, and it did it very well. Now, Colors of the Sunset, great. Episode 9, folks. Episode 9. This was intended to be our mid-season finale. It was after this I would be going away for work. So I was like, hey guys, this is going to be what we call the mid-season finale. We're going to end on a really big cliffhanger, possibly, if everything plays out the way I have intended it. And that's not what happened. And I got to say, I am so happy that it's not the way it played out. I am not happy about the reasons why it didn't play out. It was because Ian was sick, of course. But having the chance to take a step back and kind of go for 2 comic relief episodes before we got into these nitty-gritty final 3. I mean, you guys can tell me, how much more fun was that we got to do these Borgo pirate. We got to do a whole little pirate adventure in between, like, in the middle of the campaign. We got to go to Turtle Town. We got to go and fight a sea monster. That would not have happened if Dusk Falls played out here. It would have been a different story altogether. It's very good. I think it was really great. And yes, yeah, good to take a breather now and then, because it gives us the chance to let the story breathe and let the characters breathe, considering we just had all of this happen, right? We just had this whole campaign happen. Everything is intense. Everything is high stakes, high key, everything. And so these 2 episodes, what was originally going to be called Dusk Falls, became Beachhead. And then we went into the Pirates Code, just silly little pirate adventures that further pushed the narrative of these magical creatures are dropping in from another place. And I think it served the story even better. Of course, I'm just glad that Ian was able to make it and we were able to play with Gimlet. So he showed up a little late. God bless him. Glad we had the whole team together. It was great. I'm glad he was well enough to join us, and that was awesome. But we weren't gonna. I also felt uncomfortable saying, "Oh, well, Ian's not there. Well, screw it. We're moving forward with a mid-season finale anyway." Like, that's just not fair. That's just not fair, and that would be terrible. That would be horrible. It's not fair at all. So we didn't do that. We did this instead. So that's where we got the Beachhead and the Pirate Code. And what did we do with those episodes? We better explained Eternity. We gave a tiny, tiny little bit more information on what Eternity is and what Eternity looks like. Who's from there? We got to explain that Hardy's from there. Or allegedly from there. He's allegedly from there. We don't actually know. Yeah, and we got to see the bacon. We got to see all the bacon pop up. Yes, we did. It's fun. It's fun moments like this that I think are really important. And actually, I'm just realizing that I think I missed a couple of these super chats. So I want to just go through these now. Thank you so much for this super sticker. I think that's awesome. I missed another one coming back here. Uncle Brat, Hardy is the Virgil in the Divine Comedy. Well, I don't know about that. He's certainly something, all right. He's definitely something. I thought Colors of the Sunset was the mid-season finale. Technically, it was supposed to be Dusk Falls. It was supposed to be Dusk Falls here, but then it ended up moving over to here. Kind of the same story, but it just moved. And that's cool. I'm glad we did that. So what else we have? Well, we have a lot. Okay. I'm going to clear the board. The last 3 episodes, as I said before, sets up for Arc 3 or Act 3. They're all connected, and they all kind of happen right on top of each other. There's not a lot of time skipping here. Dusk Falls. The group takes the pirate ship and sails their way back to Alnwick, climbs up the hill, and starts to go toe-to-toe with these rogues who are attacking the tree. And the rogues are already in combat with a Dragonhawk. Dragonhawk, which I've just explained, is clearly from Eternity. And what's its job? Protect the tree. So the party, our players, arrive in the midst of the antagonists all fighting each other because their motivations have collided, right? They're all, the only reason that they're fighting is because, well, the rogues all have a belief. They all believe that they've been wronged by these trees, and so they're fighting it. And then you've got the Dragonhawk, which is just a monster, but fighting the good fight of trying to protect its home from something for some reason. And we don't fully know everything yet. Heck, we don't even know what all those Black Knights wanted, right? What did actually happen to all of them that they were willing to risk it all and go destroy these magical trees, risking the onslaught of one, and I'm sure they didn't know about it. 1, monsters popping in to attack them. But 2, you have to go to war with the entire magical world of your world to do this. And I think we really got to see that a little bit in Lima's brother, who says, well, they took mom. They took mom. I mean, would you go to war to get your mom back? I know I certainly would. I would. If she was taken by some monsters on the other side that I know nothing about for whatever reason that we don't know about. Or maybe she wasn't even taken, maybe she was just pulled over there, or maybe it was a magical act. We don't have any clue yet. But the idea that this person who's in pain, who's this human being, or almost maybe human, we don't know, we don't fully know what they are just yet. This person who's in pain, what are they willing to do to get their mom back? I'm sure a lot of us would do a lot of stuff, right? That's the story. That's it. All of these people have been wronged, and they're like, I'm going to war with this thing because it has hurt me. And real quick, I love this story. Thank you so much for that. I love this story too. It's ever evolving, and that is what is so much fun. There's constantly new things popping up that are going to continue to drag this out and continue this. She just fell off a cliff, so if they find the cliff, she might be hanging around. That's funny. That's certainly the story that was told to her, and maybe there was a cliff involved. But did she hit the bottom when she went off the cliff? We don't fully know. Uh-oh, was that a slip? Did you let something slip? I almost did. I may have, but it's okay because we're not on Rick's channel, so like it's okay if I slip up because it's just my channel. Although I do want to not, I don't want the YouTube censors to attack me in the captions that come later. All right, so yeah, like let's just keep going here. We have dusk falls. The team arrives back. They see this onslaught happening. They intervene. Episode 12, family ties. Things happen. Obviously, the Black Knight, more or less, sacrifices himself for his cause. He sacrifices himself for the cause. Here's a guy that we don't know everything about yet. We will. We will soon. But clearly, he's been wronged. He wants vengeance. He wants to avenge something. He's on this crusade, and he's willing to unalive in sacrifice to this cause. I think that was an amazing thing because for most of you, you're all thinking throughout the progression of the story, oh, well, there's going to be a big fight with him. It's going to be a big battle, big fight. And I thought, you know what? No, there isn't, because there doesn't have to be. And I think it was more meaningful that it wasn't, that you didn't, that the players themselves didn't fight him. It was himself who chose to, because it would have been an amazing fight. It would have been a big fight. Dude's got that big sword, straight up impaled nobody with it. And you just got to think, like, if there was a fight, it'd probably go on for a really long time. Real time hours. I'm saying hours. It would have taken up at least a full session for a fight that big. So there's that. And then I thought on top of that, well, wouldn't it be more meaningful if instead of fighting the crowd, he just did what he's going to do anyway in the face of adversity? And perhaps in some way he kind of wanted to spare everyone else in some way. Clearly it didn't work out that way at all, but that's because I don't have full control on everything. This is Dungeons and Dragons, and while I set up the motivations for antagonists, it's up to the team to determine out how those outcomes will be. So that's fun. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided to opt for the sacrifice move because he doesn't, Ryan didn't care about fighting these people that are trying to oppose him. He didn't care about fighting the Dragonhawk. That would have, one, possibly taken more time, and two, could have led to failure. It could have led to failure. And that's why he specifically says to nobody, you're going to finish what I started. You're going to finish what we started. There's a couple of things to be said in those lines. There's a couple of things to be said in those phrases, because that means that somehow what is going on here must relate back to nobody, whether he knows it or not. It's got to be connected to him somehow, whether he knows it or not. And that is fun. That is a fun setup, because that leaves us asking questions, leaves you asking questions, you, the audience, but it also leaves Rick and nobody asking questions too. Like, oh, how is this all related to me? How am I connected to this? Clearly it has to do something with my backstory, and something that's happened along the way would have led to this orphaned brother of mine going on a crusade, willing to sacrifice himself to take out these trees to this other world. I wonder why. And that's the whole point of episode Family Ties, to really do a villain case study, more or less, asking the questions of who the villains are. Are they actually bad? Like, think about it. Are they terrorizing everybody? Not everybody. They're only going after these extreme mages. And then we have to ask, well, why is that? And so we don't have all the answers for that, obviously. Are these people bad? Maybe, maybe not. I think we'll find out soon. But as I've said early on, that most of this is just supposed to be asking questions about people's motivations. Why do they do what they do? Why are they willing to do what they're willing to do? And what is it that they want? That's the best thing of any story. And so that leads us to episode 13, Trees of Eternity. I will say, before I talk about what actually happened, I'm going to back this up. My original goal, and I shouldn't say goal, my original outline, that's a better way to say it. It was an outline, because whatever I wrote may or may not come to fruition, right? Whatever I write for the finale may or may not happen. And that's okay. That's a great thing. You know, it's still a Dungeons and Dragons game. It's their world. They decide how things happen. All I can do is decide what the motivations are for the characters that are supporting the main plot. That's a long-winded way of saying that I went in with an open mind. No expectations, just an outline of what I'd like to see happen. And can I push them or nudge them in a way to make it happen? Don't know. I didn't, actually, in the end. I actually, in that sense, if we're looking at it from that perspective, I actually failed. I actually failed in driving them to do what I wanted them to do. And what I had intended was for nobody in episode 12 here, nobody gets teleported away to eternity. It wasn't supposed to be with the Dragonhawk originally. It was supposed to be a different way, but he was originally supposed to get teleported to eternity. Look around there for a few minutes. Then I had intended for the team to pop over, figure out their way to get over there. Okay, that did happen. So we're still on track. We're still on track. But I had thought that the team would come back. I didn't want the group staying in eternity. I wanted them to come back to reality, our world, the main world, because I had a different setup in mind for what I wanted campaign 2 to start out with. But I think the fact that they stayed opened up for way more creativity, because that's really cool. It's really kind of cool. It's like subverting my expectations when even I can't predict what's going to happen. That means I have to work harder. That means I have to work harder and write better stories now. And so I already know what we're going to do and where we're going to go. And it doesn't change everything. It just changes the rotation of when we do things, right? Because I still have these quest lines that I want us to hit on. I still want us to meet the Feagle clan. I still want to go and meet Ghostblade's family. And so we're still going to do all that. But now, instead of leading back to eternity to explore it, we're starting off there next time around. That's so much fun. It's a great thing to do. And it's like, oh, we'll do this now and do all the other stuff later. And so that's really cool. David DM provides story, scaffolding, and direction. Yeah, this is definitely the way I do pretty much everything is like connecting points in my brain. So it's not, I would say it's probably not normal what normal people do. The way I visualize things is kind of insane, where I have these synapses and connecting points. And so all these points kind of like just come together, and it leads to, as I said, moving from point A to point B. I mean, I'll just show this screen again of, what is a plot? Well, we have to start here, but then we have to come through here, and then maybe we break here, and then maybe it's up here, and it's over here, down, around. Oh, we make a circle back around. Oh, we're there. That's kind of what happens. It's insane. And also on top of this, this is what I could have in mind, but then they come along and maybe they, hey, we start off here and then we go way off course. And then we got to come back. We got to come back. Oh, no, they're way off course again. And then we got to swing around. Okay, we stuck the landing. Whew. See? That's the fun part. The actual... And think of this line 1, this first line here, is the world itself. Let's think of it like that. This is the actual world. I'll go full screen here so you guys can see it. This is the world. The world has its own motivations and beliefs and feelings that aren't going to change. They're not going to move. Okay. Rhyme is on a crusade. The wizards, the wizards at the university, they do not know the truth. Hardy is a cat. Eternity is another place. These are things that do not change. What can change is how our players discover the truth, experience the world, and then come to a resolution. That is what changes. Remind me again why you aren't a professor teaching about storytelling. I am. I'm doing it here. Well, thank you for the compliment, number one. And I did see a super chat in there. I'm going to jump to in just a second. But I'm not a professor. I'm actually I'm a professional storyteller. I work in business. I've been an entrepreneur for, I guess, many years now, which is very fun. But this is what I do. Is we do storytelling. This is what it is. This is all it is. It's just understanding how people think and feel, and putting up circumstances for them to enjoy and engage in joy through that. Okay. One fun fave episode was number 7 with Nate the Awesome and that humongous worm he and the team magnificently battled. Nobody handled being swallowed whole fine. But poor Hardy wasn't so hardy, eh? Yeah, it was really, I think it was a fun way to flesh out Hardy's personality through that, and that was really cool. And through Nate coming in and just having a good time, and I gave him some really awesome specifics that really let him dive into that character. It was really, really great, and thank you so much for this very generous super chat. That's really nice of you. Thank you. It's been really great, and I think doing all of this stuff and putting all of this together has truly been an absolute joy for me, to be able to do this with you and for you, and connecting with you on Twitter, and connecting with you on, now we have this Discord server, which is being outfitted professionally. And we've got a really incredible community coming together through the art of storytelling. And when you think back of it, it was born on the foundations of like a lot of, dare I say, pain, right? So there was a lot of pain and negativity, through watching and experiencing the Johnny Depp trial that I would like to say a lot of us were all going through, watching that and taking interest in it. And so we here on the other end of it, I mean, good Lord, we all watched that a couple months ago. Now I'm explaining to you how a plot works. And I think that is certainly a progression that none of us could have ever expected. And I'm eternally grateful for it. But let's tie this up, because I just explained what I thought my interpretation of this was, what I wanted to do. I wanted to come back because I had already preconceived intentions of what campaign 2 would look like. I knew where I wanted it to go. I knew what I wanted it to be. I wanted to start off with something, and I won't spoil what it is, because when it does come up, it's going to be awesome. I had something intended in mind for the top of the next campaign, and then eventually get back into the Eternity arc. But now, staying in Eternity opens us up to a whole lot of creativity. So that's what happens. The team comes together. They reveal some kind of a backstory with Lima and her brother 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐄𝐃. And we find out that there's unfinished business. There's unfinished business there. And that is something that doesn't need to be resolved right away. In fact, I prefer that it's not resolved right away. Let's stretch it out a little bit and let it air out, and see how those emotions actually make people feel, both yourselves and Alita and Lima, and let her get to experience getting into character and really feeling what this character would feel. That's the point. We don't have to rush to conclusions. Let's just play it out and have fun. And so that's where we round off, guys. And like with this arc, there's still plenty more things to do. So we're not just ending the stream here. I still got a lot to talk through, and I'd like to share with you. And there's still a lot of great stuff. But this is it. This is the campaign. This is Act 1, Campaign 1 in our Trees of Eternity, Lawyers and Dragons. And certainly I'd like to just thank, firstly, all of you for being a part of this and experiencing this with me, and helping almost guide this to be a really great experience for everybody. It wouldn't have worked out that way otherwise. I'd also like to thank the cast for coming in and being, and our guests, the main cast and our guests, and just everybody that's been a player on this and had a lot of fun to be great with this, right? It's been awesome. Oh, thank you, Vintage Willow here for $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That is very kind of you to do, and that is great. And this is our main campaign, but it doesn't have to end here, does it? It doesn't have to end here. And there's a lot of things that are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks, that I think are going to be a lot of fun for me and for you and for the team. And so actually, I am going to just, well, I don't really have anything to show on it yet, do I? Actually, that's not true. Let me find the logo, because we have a logo reveal today, my friends. We have a logo reveal for the next chapter in the saga. And I think it should come up here. It might look terrible. Oof, there's no back. Oh, I got to pull it up on a different app altogether so that it looks good. Neely, thank you so much for streaming today. My Saturday would feel empty without some Lawyers and Dragons content. Lawyers and Dragons, the storylines that we share through Lawyers and Dragons are not going anywhere. They are going to keep continuing. We've got a lot to do. We're not going to stop anytime soon. I am not going to do stopping anytime soon. Okay. That's not it. It's on here. There it is. Okay. I'm going to do the screen share again. Stand by as I am like, oh, I have to download it. Ooh, I was prepared for one thing. Now I'm trying to get everything ready for the other piece of this where I talk about Hardy's travel agency. So let's officially get that out there. I'd like to introduce all of you guys to Hardy's travel agency, which is going to be the next chapter in this saga. And it's not just about me, folks. And it's not just about, all of the other characters and players that you've met. I'd like to introduce you all to Hardy's Travel Agency. What the heck does that mean? Where are we going? What is going on? Okay, here it is. And firstly, just to jump back here, Carrie, thank you so much for a fun, exciting season. It has made Saturday morning so great. Look forward to it and can't wait for more. Well, here is the more. Here is the more. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Hardy's Travel Agency is the sequel, the spiritual sequel to Trees of Eternity that is not going to star the main cast from Trees of Eternity. It's going to star you. Hardy's Travel Agency is a series of fan-led games that I will be dungeon mastering, I will be DMing, I will be running, and all of you will have the opportunity to be players in. I mean, literally signing up, being a character, playing on stream, playing in game. This is going to happen. It's going to be happening within the next couple of weeks. We're going to be making an official announcement soon. I have a video in the works. We're going to be doing this is like a little kind of a teaser here. There's so much other crap I have to get done, and that's why it's taking me so long to even just pull up this silly image. But I feel like it's very important, as we've just introduced Dungeons and Dragons to many of you, right? Many of you have all heard of it, and maybe like this is your first time getting to experience it, right? And so I wanted to create a circumstance where, why can't you just play with us? Why can't you play with us? You can. We have the internet. We have the devices. We have the technology. Let's do it. And so this game is going to be a series of what we call one-shots. It's a one-time deal. So if you play once, that's it. You've played once. We'll work things out in the future. I'm sure this will continue in some way. But because there's such high demand for people to play in these games, it's really going to be a first-come, first-serve kind of thing. That's the way it's going to be, so that it's fair for everybody. And here's the next thing. You don't have to know anything. You can come in totally new to D&D. We're going to show you how to do it. We've got cheat sheets ready to go. We've got character sheets ready to go that you can fill in. And it's going to be pre-recorded. So you're not going to be live. We are not going to be live. These are going to be pre-recorded, post-produced, and published on a schedule that we're working on right now. Okay. Typically, the episodes are going to run about an hour, just like, thank you, Pastel. Yep. One shots typically run an hour to an hour and a half, probably less than 2 hours, but it'll be about an hour, hour and a half. And you guys are going to be sent on quests by Hardy himself through eternity. So this is going to be a lot of fun. I know there's going to be a lot of people that, I want to be transparent. This is full transparency. I understand there's going to be a lot of you that don't get in on this. That's okay. There's always going to be more opportunities in the future for the next saga of this. This operation is probably going to continue into the next chapter of Lawyers and Dragons. So we may actually be doing campaign 2, and we're still doing these fan games. And that's how I'm going to refer to them, as these are fan games. That's the intention. It's because I want you guys to all have the chance to actually play the game instead of just always watching it. I think that's more exciting, right? You get to actually be a character in this world. Yeah, you're going to be super low level, and there's not much like you can do as far as leveling up is concerned, but you're still going to get the full Dungeons and Dragons experience for free, for nothing. Just show up, right? That's really all it has to be, is like, try and have a good microphone. I'm going to brief you on everything. Be kind. Gosh, that's going to be something super serious here. Super serious is like, kindness is key on this. If you're somebody who's mouths off and picks fights, please don't join this. Don't ruin the experience for everybody when something like this is going to be so limited. This is really for you guys. So like, let's play nice, because this is a free operation that we're working really hard to put together. And I see the question here just popped up. Where do I sign up? I checked the Discord, but I couldn't find anything. That is an excellent question. Excellent question. Where do you sign up? You can't yet, but I need you to join the Discord if you're interested in playing in the game, okay? Guys, because demand on this is so high, and I mean it's really high, and we have to get as many people in as we cannot post the sign-up link on Twitter. It wouldn't be fair. So we've created, and I want to thank everybody who's in here. We've seen Secret Rick Squirrel, who's part of the Discord team. We've seen Thick Pastel, who's part of the Discord team. We have seen, I think I've seen Paul jump in here once or twice, part of the Discord team. We're running this really amazing Discord server, and you can get there by going to prototopicsparty.com. I've seen it pop up a bunch of times in here. It will continue to pop up. That is where we are going to be posting the first sign-up link, which will probably be coming this week. There's a very, very, very strong chance that it will be coming this week, as far as how to sign up, how to play, videos on it. And again, kindness is going to be a big deal. Kindness prevails. If you're confrontational, you're gone. I'm kicking you from the call. If you come in, if you start saying anything, if you say anything offensive, you start targeting people, you're out, you're banned, you're gone. There's a zero tolerance policy. And just to be clear on that, if I think you're being offensive, if I think you're being mean to somebody, it's like less than one strike and you're out, because it's not fair for you to take up that seat when somebody else can take it. And I'm not going to harp on that for too long here. Just keep that in mind, okay? This is a safe environment for everybody to get to experience this game. Good experiences only, folks. Here, I'm seeing the link doesn't work. You got to try it. It's http://prototopicsparty.com. Booyah. That will work. That will help everybody get in. And I really recommend, if you're not part of it, you're going to want to be part of it because of the next thing I'm about to reveal. So this is a pretty big stream, everybody. I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours straight. Oh, wait, I have been. If you thought we were going to stop with just Hardy's travel agency, you would be wrong. Guys, I've been talking about this on Twitter. I've been talking about it here. You all have been talking about it in chat. We've been talking about it for weeks, I think, is Hardy the cat plush toys. And I don't have pictures of the cat yet, of the cat himself. But what I do have a picture of is his little keychain, is his little cat tag for you all to see. And I'm going to show it now. Hold on. So what you're about to see here, my friends, is the little tag that is going to appear on the cat. I just saw the proper mock-up. This is the design. This is Hardy the cat's cat collar tag. Banished from eternity for tax evasion. Hardy the cat with his little autograph on it. A little paw print graph on it. It's coming. It's on the way. We are expecting the shipments to arrive within the coming week or so. Very excited about this. Guys, I just really blown away with how you guys have taken to not only my character but the team's characters, and we love that. We love to see it. And yeah, so this is going to be the little cat tag for Hardy the cat that is exclusively on him. And I do have some words on that as well. So here's the deal. Also, yes, Carrie, I see this comment here. You need to have actual cat tags for merch. We're going to work on it. We're going to work on it. No promise on when, but it's going to happen. Here's the other thing. So in order for us to rush, order, and get these done and get them done right and get them done correctly and make sure like we have a very high standard for like professionalism when it comes to our products here. Like for the clients that I represent, for everything I've done work, like product quality is high up there for us. And we wanted to make sure we can get this out for Christmas. So we're rushing, but also it has to be really good. And because of that, we are going to have very, very limited supply of Hardy the Cat first edition. And because of that, there's going to be a little certificate on the cat that will be marked for the first edition. So you're getting a Hardy the Cat plush with the collectible cat collar tag. There's going to be a couple other things. And then on it, there's going to be a little certificate confirmation there that this is a numbered cat. You have one of the numbers, one of the few numbers that are available. And to preface that, we are not going to be putting Hardy online for Twitter to buy. We're not going to be posting links to it like, here, check this out. Hardy the Cat is going to be released in small quantities to our Discord members. You don't have to pay anything to be a part of this. You just have to be in the Discord. Because once he's gone, it's going to take us a few more weeks to get more, and they're not going to be considered first edition like these are. Okay? So if you're not in the Discord and you want to get a Hardy the Cat, definitely be in the Discord. So you got two things that you got to be in the Discord for. One, Hardy's travel agency games. You want to play with us? You got to be in our Discord. If you want to get the cat, you want to get actual physical plushies of the cat, you got to also be in the Discord. So I recommend joining that and being a part of the community there. It is a growing community of like-minded people like yourselves. So that is really fun. And here's the other thing, like we're working very hard on this to make sure it's not ridiculously expensive. I mean, we have international shipping working. So like you're going to be able to get a Hardy the Cat wherever, as of right now, wherever you are in the world, we're going to be shipping it internationally. So that's very exciting. It was important to me to make sure that our international fans don't miss out on this exclusive stuff. The only thing really will be is that there's a very, very, very small quantity of these guys that are going to be labeled first edition, and then it'll be a couple of weeks before we get more Hardy merch. And we do have other Prototopics merchandise that is going to be dropping as well. More on that when we get to it. I really don't want this video to be like a, hey, buy this, because that's not what we're about. We're here for like education stuff and creating happy experiences. I mean, we wouldn't be making merch unless you guys specifically asked. So this is for you because you asked. I was against making merch for a long time. And then we got so many requests for it that I'm like, you know what? I want a Hardy merch now. I want Hardy plushies now too. So that's where it's really coming from. So we're super excited about that. And I think realistically, with that, everybody, we have been on for a little over 2 hours now. We've got more content on the way. I'm probably going to be tying things up right around now. Unless, do I have anything else I can show you guys now? You know what? Yeah, I do. I got one more thing I could show you because we've got all these pictures, so I might as well just like, hey, check this out. Let me pull it over. This is going to be something we're having made up, which is going to be stickers So we're having these stickers made. Hardy's Travel Agency Adventurer Visa stickers. The Visa stickers. We you know, hey, we're gonna put out a bunch of stuff that's exclusive to us for you. If you like them, they're there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So a lot of stuff happening. This is Hardy's Travel Agency Adventurer Arrival in Eternity Visa passport stickers for you. So these will be launching in what we're calling phase 1 of our Prototopics store. We're working on it now, and there's a lot happening. And I think that's all the reveals I kind of have for today, my friends. There's a lot of stuff coming. Yeah, but wait, there's more. Nah, not after that. That's that there. So again, I see there's 232 members here. If you would please, and if you're not subscribed to this channel already, be sure to subscribe to this channel because we can't keep going unless you're here. We will keep going, but we would love for you to be here as well while we keep going. And join our Discord. Thank you, Secret McSquirrel, for all you're doing here. Really big shout out to Secret McSquirrel for like jumping in and just becoming a good friend on here. And we've played together now. We're playing over on Roll of Law with Ian's numbers without stars without numbers. That's it. Stars Without Numbers campaign. We're playing together and really great sport. Really love working with Secret McSquirrel, and find them over on the Discord. Discord's there. If you haven't joined, check it out. Join us over there. And I guess last thing. Oh gosh, one last thing is all of your questions I see, and thank you, Pastel, for pointing everyone in their direction. Is if you have questions about Dungeons and Dragons, characters, how do I do this? How do I get into it? What can I do? Is this a good idea? Drop them in the Discord. We're going to be doing a Q&A series of videos starting next week, or actually probably starting next week because I got a long commute tomorrow. Starting next week, we're going to be doing Q&A videos of me explaining how to do stuff. So I would really love for you guys to go and drop those questions in our Discord, and we will answer all of them for you. And I see a super chat just came in. Reasonable Glitter Mess. Oh, that is a perfect name to wrap up today's stream with. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And to everybody that has been watching this, thank you for being here with us. This was a very long-winded stream. I got to go drink a gallon of water because I have that like, dried out mouth thing. But everybody, thank you so much. We will see you very soon. So until then, good day, good night. Oh, wait, no. Good day, good luck, and goodbye.